First of all, thank you, Sarah, for asking me to come and do this. An absolute honour and privilege to be here. Now, please forgive me if I mumble and stumble and forget things or say something I shouldn't. I think you know it all comes with the territory. Right, let's do this. Not from day one, this is from, okay, I'm out of hospital now. I'm at home, feeling a lot better. The tumour's gone out of my head. And I'm thinking I'll go back to work soon. Cancer never really even entered my thought process, to be honest, until Sam and Jane from Auckland Hospital gave me the results and the prognosis. Brain cancer, glioblastoma. 1 year or maybe 2 to live if you're very lucky. Well, that certainly didn't appeal to me. I first of all said to them that I think the cancer diagnosis is wrong. I'm 3 weeks out from hospital and I'm feeling good. Must be a mistake, surely. No mistake. Okay, and then the dying part. Well, okay, they did say to me, well, 1 to 2 years, but there are people that do outlive it. We call them outliers, but don't get your hopes up. Well, I had my hopes up then. There are people that outlive it. So I wasn't too emotional by this point. I was just thinking, I've got to figure out a way through this. There's got to be a way, somehow, some way, people get through it. So that somehow, some way, the answer to that would come in a few days when I met my oncologist for the first time. Now, many of you here know him. I'll mention his name, Anthony Falkoff. First off, he greeted me with words of hope and encouragement, I guess. He said to me, Keith, I'm not here to give you any sort of timeline. My job here is to help you live as long as possible. And with that, we're going to throw everything at it. We'll get you the best possible outcome. So don't worry about that. But he said there's not one thing that'll fix this, of course. And your attitude is very important here. Yes, I certainly believe that, as well as being quite determined, stubborn, and bloody-minded even. I was thinking, there's no nasty bit of brain cancer that's going to knock this skinny little weed off the face of the earth. Not anytime soon. 61 and too young for that sort of thing. So I left Anthony's office that day ready for the fight of and for my life, I guess. I was ready and willing to accept and embrace all the medications that were coming my way. And I had 100% faith and belief that they would work, as well as having faith and belief in myself that mind and body were going to be strong enough to see me through whatever was to come. And I think that day I also made contact with BTSN NZ for the first time. I spoke to Monique. And I knew that was going to be very good for me going forward. It was a wow day for me, that one. I was an excitable kid. I was off on an adventure into the unknown. Excited, I don't know why, but I was. Let's do this. And I think from then on, my life was going to be living simply and just simply living day by day. Get up, have my cup of coffee, do what I had to do, move, be active when I could and rest when I should. And I'll see how that was going to go along with the medications after a while. I thought, well, okay, if I get to 2 years, I'm doing well. I might beat this somehow. If I don't, well, then I won't know about it, will I? Right, let's do this. So a few days later, we were off to Auckland for our 7 weeks of first lot of treatments, radiotherapy, and taking my chemotherapy orally. Well, Sandra and I, we treated that like a giant holiday because it was. It was summertime. People had left the city, and it was going to be 7 weeks at least before I was going back to work. So during the day before treatments, I'll tell you what we did. Might as well, I'm here now. We go walking through the domain, visiting the museum, the library, swimming in the Parnell baths, going to Real Groovy Records, looking for some more vinyl for myself. Most importantly, hunting down good coffee shops. We found a few. And for a bit of a light entertainment, we'd head down K Road and look at all the crazy people. For those of you that don't know K Road, Karinga Happy Road, notorious in the 70s and 80s for, I guess, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And there's a few remnants and relics still there from that era. So 7 weeks was up. I was feeling really good. I lost a bit of hair, a bit fatigued, and a bit lightheaded. I was feeling good. All through that 7 weeks, my head was in a good space because obviously I was in the right place. I was getting looked after. I was sure the treatments were working. Life was good. Now, that little holiday was over. We're back home for 6 months of chemo. Now, I don't need to tell a lot of you about this. 5 days of taking the chemo, 2 and a bit weeks of getting over it, 5 days doing it again, rinse and repeat for 6 months. Well, that knocked the crap out of me. Every night, the first night I took it, every time I'd throw up for a couple of hours, really violently, every time. So I tried the anti-nausea tablets to try and combat this. Well, that didn't work. So I took the first one and I threw up before getting onto the chemo tablets. So they got ditched very quickly. I tried my prescribed CBD oil. That didn't do anything. So you excuse me here, but I turned to non-prescribed marijuana, which I had run by Anthony previously. That worked really well for me. It quelled the nausea, quelled the anxiety, and it left me feeling settled. So I was able to cope for the next 6 months. Well, that was pretty tough for me, of course, that 6 months. We got through it, but so pretty tough for me. There were times towards the end of it when I couldn't drag myself out of bed. I'd just stay in bed for days. When I did, I'd plonk myself out on the couch and watch YouTube. Couldn't read a book or watch a movie, too much concentration there. YouTube was beneficial. I built a smokeless fire pit, a raised garden bed, and I wrote my first book, diary, logbook, construction logbook. I got it published on Amazon because at the time I was feeling utterly useless. I couldn't do anything. I had to do something for my own peace of mind. So I wrote this book. So that was it. Excuse me a second here. Yes, okay. I wrote the book. Now my head was in a good space through that time because I was thinking, Jesus, if the chemo's beating me up this much, think what it's doing to those nasty little cancer cells I think they might want to grow. Well, they didn't stand a chance, did they? And at the time I'd stumbled upon the keto diet, which was great. So starving the nasty little buggers as well, starving them and bludgeoning them. They weren't having a chance to grow. And of course, my head was happy at the time as well because all the people, so from family, friends, colleagues, strangers even, and certainly let's not forget my fellow survivees of every month, my video call with PTSNZ. What a lifeline that is. Some of those people are here today. So that whole time with all those people, those uplifting conversations, positive conversations, happy conversations, no doom and gloom and sadness at my place, that's for sure. I'm sure all those conversations help the medications work their magic. And at that whole time, I wasn't really getting down too much for too long. You know, I wasn't thinking that this cancer was going to get me anytime soon. You know, sometime maybe it might get me. Hey, we're all going to die sometime. I was just trying to push the sometime off to a few years later. Besides, I was thinking I might return to work at some point. So I did start visiting my old workplace with a view of doing that. After about a year or so, I realised it wasn't going to happen. Too many cognitive issues. I certainly wasn't saddened by it at all. Wasn't sad, wasn't unhappy. I was, in fact, very excited by it. I've got a chance at a whole new life, an opportunity. Not many people get that. And, you know, my head had been decluttered. All the rubbish had been thrown out. I was refreshed. My thinking was clear when I wasn't having a bad day, that was. You know, I wanted to do something, a wonderful opportunity. It was like the slim chance of living, you know, that slim chance I took that. I was going to take this opportunity of doing something different. So what have I been doing? Well, this public speaking, I never ever would have done this several years ago. I was way too frightened. I did it for the Cancer Society a few weeks ago, for the Northern Rescue Helicopter Group as well, when I got put on the spot there one day. And I helped them with volunteer work and fundraising work. I did a voice to radio ad and a YouTube video for the Rescue Helicopter Group. I'm certainly looking forward to doing more volunteer fundraising work for BTSNZ as well when it fits. Writing. Yes, so you heard I've written that construction logbook diary, and some of you have seen my book out there of my journey. I wrote that I wrote down a whole lot of scribbled notes so I wouldn't forget when people asked me what happened, and that evolved into a book, which also got published on Amazon. And I've written a diary for cancer sufferers to log your daily, weekly, whatever medications, thoughts, feelings, and appointments and all of that. That got published on Amazon. And I'm currently writing a book on something completely different about my motorcycle adventures and misadventures throughout my life. There's plenty of misadventures. I have now, this one here, you may laugh or you may not. I've actually almost penned a song about what's happened up in my head. Strangely enough, it's called the Tumour song. You know, I thought this was an appropriate title. One day I was walking around humming, it's in my head, it's in my head, it's in my head. So I wrote a few rhyming words around that about it not killing me dead, written my story around it. And our son, who's a musician, has said he'll put some music to it one day. And hey, listen, that's just a fun thing, a happy brain thing, which I think is important. Now, I'm going to finish off here very quickly with luck. I've been very lucky throughout all of this. I was lucky where I was working at the time. People knew it was more than just a headache I was having, wouldn't let me drive home, called an ambulance. Got to Whangarei Hospital pretty quick. Lucky the next day to get the helicopter ride to Auckland, not the back of the ambulance. As I was to find out, my brain was after the MRI, my brain was in a precarious position. I don't think the back of the ambulance would have done me any favours 2 hours on our bumpy roads. Lucky my tumour was in a good spot to remove. Lucky my body has responded well to treatments, although I do think my attitude played a part in that, I'm sure of it. Lucky for all the support I've had from my wonderful wife who was sitting over there. And so I think I'm lucky to have gotten this far relatively unscathed. You know, fatigue, headaches, the head just not working sometimes, emotional, as you hear. But I think I'm very much a fully functional, normal, walking, talking human, whatever is considered human these days, normal these days, not human. Yeah, hey, life is certainly different, but life is good. And I'm really looking forward to my future for me, however long that may be. Thank you.